Another day, another frame. Today we're taking a look at this KingKong RAMMUS200 quadcopter. And it comes with a little cover to cover everything up and they give a little bit more protection to it. And it comes with several different colors so you don't have to actually choose that when you're buying it. Now this looks like something that we may have actually seen before from Sky Hero. But this comes in a box like this, and it was designed by HK Thunder, so you know it's going to be good. Like I have any idea who HK Thunder is. But apparently he's pretty cool because his name's on the box twice. So let's open this up and we'll take a little quick look at it. It comes with the instructions. And instructions aren't really necessary unless the build's kind of complicated. But I don't know if this one's going to be too bad or not. The only thing I noticed about this is that it has a lot of different size of screws or different lengths, and so it's a matter of putting the screws in the right place. It comes with 4 sets of propellers, lefts and the rights. They're all red, that's kind of cool. And landing gear and some of the little bag of goodies with the spacers in here. And hold on just one second, like Torch FPV told me, that's called knurling. These things are knurling. That's what the little grooves on here is called, knurling. Thanks Torch FPV for pointing it out, because I'd never heard the word before. Also it comes with 3, or actually comes with 6 different colors of covers to go on top of the quad. That's kind of cool. I would say use your least favorite first. That way if you break it, you still got the other one. You still got your favorite one left. And of course the main plates in here. Anyway, let's get the stuff opened up and we'll start putting it together. So here's all the parts laid out. Now it has these 2 side plates, and because they have the side plates, they don't really need a lot of top plate. So they just have these 2 little pieces here. This little thing looks like this, and this one here that go up on the top, and that's just probably to eliminate a little bit of weight. Now here's one of the canopies. These are not 3D printed. Looks like they're just plastic injected, so they should be pretty tough, and they bend okay, and we'll see. Maybe it'll take a beating, maybe it won't, but I'm betting it will. Like I said, it comes with 6 and 8 M3 size screws, and I think that's really the only thing that you'd have to worry about. You know, put them in the right place, because I don't know, I guess if you try to put the 6 in the 8 holes, they'd be a little short. It also comes with this XT60 connector and a little piece to tie it down to the board, which is good. That way you don't have to have 2 hands to pull it apart. Anyway, let me start getting this thing put together. One thing kind of cool on this frame, up here in the front, it has 2 grooves cut, and it may not look like 2, but it's actually one here and then one here, and that's because you can mount your camera in 2 different angles. The lower one is 20 and the higher one is 40. So for this I stuck it into the 40 degree angle, so it'll look a little cooler in the video. But you could put it down in the 20 degree one if you want. You can kind of see a little bit here how the camera mounts in there, and it could go in the other one if you wanted to. Now it also has a hole back here, and this is where you would mount in your HS1177 style of camera if you wanted to have side mounted, you know, side mounts cameras instead. Actually, I would probably prefer that because I don't have any cameras like this anymore that I've been using. I've been buying all the HS1177 just because they mount easy and it makes for easy adjustments at the flying field. So this is kind of what the top part looks like when it's assembled. And like I said, there's this piece back here and a piece up here, and I think those are both just to give it some strength side to side. And they didn't want to use a whole plate because they just add more unnecessary weight. But it has the 2 posts in the back, and the other 2 posts connect onto this piece here, and those will connect onto the main plate. Now on the main plate, like I was saying, it has this little piece of metal that goes around here, and it just screws into the bottom, and that holds your XT60 connector into place. And this thing is in there pretty good. It's not going to wiggle loose or anything. The nice thing about that is now you can plug it in and unplug it with just one hand. And it comes with the 2 short wires that would go from here into your power distribution board, but that's not included. Included with this frame, they give you these nuts and these screws and spacers. And the screw itself is 18 millimeters. And the 18 millimeter screw goes through the bottom plate up here, and you put the nylon nut on there, and that's where your power distribution board would go. Once your power distribution board is in place, you take the spacer, put it on top of the power distribution board, and it puts a little space there. Then you put your flight board up on top, and then put the other nylon nut up on top to hold the flight board down. And it's really cool. They give you all the parts you needed to actually mount that stuff in there. Now, one other thing to know is, here it is that when you put this on, the top plate on here, there's not a lot of space, as you can kind of see there, between the screw and the top piece of carbon fiber. So you just need to make sure that you keep everything down below the top of those screws, and you'll be okay. Now now there's the pins and stuff on the flyboard itself, and there's still room inside for those pins to go in there, so you shouldn't have any problem with that. It's just that they go right up to the screws there, so you don't want anything sticking out wider than those screws off the top board, because then you'll start having problems with the carbon fiber mounting on there. Then on this top plate, it has a little piece here that goes down into the frame. Then right here it has these little tabs that go into the frame also to help hold it in place. I'm gonna see if I can get that put on. And there it's installed. It snaps on right here in the front on the bottom, and then the two little tabs connect into the sides right there. They're a little bit of a pain to get pulled in because I had to kind of pull on this a little bit and line them up, but it worked out okay. And I heard them snap in, which is kind of a nice thing too. Now the first thing I noticed on this is that the antenna holder's right here, and then this plastic cover is covering it up. So like this hole is going to have to be cut a little bit bigger so you can get your connector down through there and then mount it into your video transmitter. That's kind of interesting, I guess. Another problem it has is that the battery strap down here connects through here, and it kind of runs right into these screws. And even on the bottom, if I kind of push this down flat, you can tell how the strap goes right through the middle of the screws. And up here, it's not any better. It would have been better if they'd taken these holes here for the battery strap and pulled them back a little bit, so that way the battery strap could scoot back just a little bit so that it gets through the bottom, through those two bottom screws here without interfering with the screws themselves. Also, the frame here has a lot of sharp edges on it, which is kind of par for the course on a lot of these frames. Even the other recent ones I've had kind of sharp edges. Now normally I don't worry about cutting them down or anything because I figure they'll wear themselves out. But one thing I have started recommending is to shave off the corners on the inside where the battery straps go through, because I've actually ripped a couple battery straps because those sharp corners have actually cut through it. And yeah, that kind of sucks because sometimes the battery strap is easy to replace and sometimes not. On this one, the battery strap's going to run through an area that's the width of the bottom spacer there, that little nut that goes on first. So this one would be kind of a pain to replace the battery strap if you don't, or if you end up ripping it. So just make sure to trim those edges down and get rid of those sharp corners. Also included with this is this little foam piece, and it slides down here in the bottom, and when you're finished with your quad, that's when I put it on. But it just slips in here like this, and it has room for the screws to have access to those later. But it will help give a little bit of grip to your battery so that it doesn't try to slide out forward or backward during crashes. And this battery strap, it just helps hold it on there a little bit tighter too. I've been seeing more and more people actually use these motor guards, and these just go out and protect the motors a little bit from getting dirt or grass down inside the motors, and they also give a little bit of protection to the motors themselves. I'm not a big fan of them, but you know, it's always nice to have them because they make good prizes at races. So here I have my scale out, and this weight is going to include the foam piece on the bottom, but not the motor guards. But everything else that's included with the frame is in this weight, and this comes up to be about 98.9 grams, and that is really good for these frames. Usually if you want to have a good racer, you need to have the weight down under 100 if you can get it. If it's a little bit over 100, you know, it's not a big deal, or even if it's 150, it's really not a big deal. It's just that the more weight you have, the harder it's going to be for your motors to get your quad going. So you want it to really be as light as possible. I just looked at the statistics on the quadcopter. It says that the weight is supposed to be 98, so they are actually spot on. Now they also say these arms are supposed to be 3.5 millimeters, so let's give them a little check. 3.39, out here 3.4, 3.4, let's check the other one just because we're crazy, 3.4, so it's not quite 3.5, but it's pretty close. And I do think the 3.5 is kind of a lot of the way that a lot of frames are going, because 4 millimeter is really thick, and I just tell people good luck breaking a 4 millimeter frame, although people have told me they've broken them. Let's see, this top plate here, 1.8, this one over here, 1.9, these little plates here, 1.8. And I also know someone's going to ask how tall these spacers are, so we'll go ahead and measure these too. They're 32. Yeah, 32 millimeters, more or less. So anyway, I think this frame looks pretty cool. So here's a 5-inch propeller, and this comes This looks like it's going to spin okay. Looks like if it was kind of low, it would have problems hitting this, or if it's too high, it's going to have problems hitting this. But because of all this area here that's cut out, it shouldn't have any problems spinning. And I think the back is kind of the same way. Let's check this out real quick. Yeah, the back, it couldn't spin down here at the bottom, but up here between these two pieces of carbon fiber where it's cut out, it should have no problem spinning through there. So this is advertised as the RAMMUS200. So if I line this up here, and it doesn't look like it's lined up, but it is, and it comes up to be about 203. So it's really not quite a 200, but I'll take 203 and call it a 200 and be happy with it. So here's the RAMMUS200 sitting next to the real ACC 210. Now that you can tell, they're both True X frames. Now one thing a lot of people might be concerned about is that these motor mount part here are a little bit narrow, and you might have some of the motor hanging out over the edge. That's probably the reason that they included the motor guards like this, because they knew that they were a little bit narrow. And also, by making it a little bit narrow, it cuts off a little bit of weight off of it. So if you're not really concerned about having your motor hang off the arm a little bit, which I'm not really concerned about it, then it actually helps you out because it's a little bit lighter. But for those concerned about it, they included these to help give it a little bit more protection. Another thing you'll notice is that this one is a lot more narrow this way than the real ACC. This real ACC one has a top plate that's actually designed to support, camera up on top, a GoPro up on top, and whereas this one does not. If you have a GoPro on this one, it's not going to mount very easily to this. But again, this one's not really designed for that kind of stuff. It's more designed for racing and speed. So as I start thinking about the build process on this, it's going to be a little tight running your video transmitter in here. You're probably going to have to run it up on top and use these holes to help zip tie it down, because you can't really put it on bottom because this little spacer is directly underneath there, and so you can't mount it to that top plate very easily. Now if you had a real small video transmitter, you might be able to stand it up, but that XT60 mount is kind of in the way. So you might end up having to mount the video transmitter somewhere else and run an extension back to the back to mount it into this hole so your video transmitter antenna has someplace to hang on to. Also up here in the front, there's not really a whole lot of space to install your receiver for your transmitter. You do got the top little plate up here on the top, but there's really not anything to zip tie it to other than the plate itself. There's no holes or anything. But I guess you could try to start mounting stuff to the side plates, but then it kind of takes away from the cool look of the cool cuts they have in it and stuff. But if you put it up here on top, the video transmitter, then you have to just make sure that you keep it down below these holes so that way your plastic piece can snap in. I don't know that this would actually end up being a real easy build or not. You may end up having a little bit of room down here in the bottom underneath the camera where you could mount the receiver, and that may not actually be too bad of a spot for it. But a lot of that would really depend on what kind of camera you're using, because an HS1177 might be a little bit low and it might get in the way of that camera. With this frame weighing in at 98 grams and as cool as it looks, I think this would be an awesome quadcopter. I think you'd get plenty of speed out of it because of the lightweight, and you'll get a lot of attention because of the little plastic cover it has on here. And since it's not 3D printed, instead it's plastic injected, it should be plenty strong for most crashes. And even in a crash, you still have all this carbon fiber pieces sticking up here that would help take a lot of the force instead of passing it on to the camera. Now the only thing I think would be a little bit difficult is trying to figure out the layout of the stuff inside, but once you got past that, or if you're actually good at that kind of stuff, then it wouldn't be too bad of a frame. Anyway, this is the RAMMUS200. This is made by KingKong and it's available at Banggood. If you have any questions about it, feel free to leave it in the comments and I'll try to help you out as best I can. And as always, thanks for watching.